Cancer is a continuously growing global health problem that poses major challenges, most especially in developing countries. Find out how this international distributor of innovative health products came up with a series of solutions to help increase a patient's chance to survive the odds. In 2020, the Philippines hit a record of 354,398 prevalent cancer cases within a 5-year period. But because of poor access to health care, especially for people living below the poverty line, the advances and breakthroughs in cancer remain unattainable to many.
Cancer refers to a group of diseases that's characterized actually by cell growth, abnormal cell growth and proliferation, inflammation, as well as angiogenesis or formation of new blood vessels. It always starts with mutation in the genome or the genetic makeup of a person inside the cell. Before PPARs, most of my patients, they were unable to finish the chemotherapy regimens because of the side effects and because of discomfort during the process of chemotherapy.
Maria's son Dominic was diagnosed with stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma when he was only 4 years old. While coping with the recovery of her other sick child, Maria found it hard to accept Dominic's condition.
It was actually very devastating kasi with Dominic, it was manifested mga 4 years old na siya eh. Unlike dun sa daughter ko na congenital talaga, baby pa lang. Yung mga bandang September, meron ng umuumbok-umbok dito sa leeg niya. Hindi ko talagang iniisip na cancer kaagad siya until nag-nosebleed siya.
Dominic was prescribed chemotherapy, but his family insisted to rush to an integrative doctor to seek for alternative cure.
Medyo hesitant ako kasi as a mother, I know the side effects ng chemotherapy kasi. So what I did is that I rushed towards the integrative doctor of my daughter, who happened to be PPAR partner doctor of Simply Nature.
One of the hardest decisions to make for people living with cancer is choosing the kind of treatment that would work best. To help patients and their families deal with this growing health problem, one company commits to producing safe, credible, and natural health solutions by drawing on the latest bioscience technology to deliver a series of safe, efficient, and natural products. What is Simply Nature and what does it do?
Simply Nature is a company we created and founded about 10 years ago. Our mission is to find effective health solutions for people. Either conventional or natural choice. At Simply Nature, patients can have the best of both worlds. Our protocols work with conventional chemotherapy, minimize its side effects so that they can get the best treatment using both conventional and natural together.
Cancer is like a virus. It continuously evolves, it mutates. So it can develop defenses against our usual treatment modalities like chemotherapy.
Like I said, chemotherapy and radiation therapy have a lot of side effects. So more often than not, patients stop their treatment because of these side effects. It's very important to have the support.
With the supplements that we give the patients, there will be lesser side effects, so they will be able to finish their chemotherapy protocols more comfortably.
This company introduced PPARs, which is touted as one of the best natural ways of solving serious health problems.
PPARs stands for peroxisome proliferator activating receptors. It's basically a nuclear receptor found inside the cells. Now, when these receptors are activated, the benefit that you can get from that is, number 1, cellular differentiation. Number 2, it's to promote fatty acid metabolism. If you have better insulin function, your blood sugar will naturally go down. And another one is to induce cancer cell death by modulating the immune system.
As a sole distributor of PPARs, the company promotes its use to many reputable health institutions worldwide and actively organizes corporate health conferences and public health talks in Asia.
Simply Nature PPARs is made out of a special strain of these types of microalgae. It is very effective by protecting the bone marrow. We maintain the integrity of the immune system of the patient, which is very important to prevent infections and to fight off the cancer itself. And also, Simply Nature PPARs is also very dense in nutrients so that the patient can recover faster because of better cellular healing.
Sabi ko parang na-lead kami to an extraordinary and I must say amazing journey. I'm very proud of him. At a young age na 8 years old, he believed that it's his purpose to siguro encourage other people then. We would like to really pay it forward with the knowledge that there's really like Simply Nature that can help people with cancer very much.
When fighting cancer, living healthy is very important because it allows us to pursue what is important to us in life, and that's what it's all about. When we can help a patient move from being bedridden to getting up, to be lucid in thought so that they can have conversations with their loved ones, it gives the whole process of fighting cancer a whole new meaning. And that is what drives us at Simply Nature.
Talagang sobrang sakit. Sumusuka na ako. Tapos sa work ko rin, hindi ko na kaya talagang mag-isip. Dumating ako sa point na nawala na din daw ako ng malay. Then, nakilala ko si Sir Shyan. Meron silang ganung product. Effect sa akin ng supplement na to is malakas ako. Kahit nagkikimo ako, nag-radiation ako. Hindi ko naranasan yung mga naranasan ng other patient na nagsusuka, nanghihina, walang ganang kumain. My name is Saida C. Gomez, 48 years old. I live in Quezon City. Currently work is a property manager. Diagnosed sa akin is breast cancer no year 2019. After 2.5 years, is recurrent na siya for stage 4. Affected na yung brain, then lungs and liver. Kumalat na siya. Yung symptoms na naramdaman ko is talagang sobrang sakit ng ulo ko. Gumising ako, parang sumusuka na ako. Tapos yung umiiba-iba yung way ng walk ko. Talagang as in, vomit dito, vomit dun. Tapos sa work ko rin, talagang hindi ko na kaya talagang mag-isip. Parang lagi akong masakit talaga ang ulo. Na dumating ako sa point na nawala na din daw ako ng malay. Sabi ng mga kasama ko doon. Inaakay na nila ako. Then, yung pinakamatindi is yung dito na sa bahay na talagang na ginigising ako pero talagang ayaw kong gumising. Kaya dinala na niya ako ng ER. Tapos doon na sila nag-test. Nagising na nga lang ako, nasa room na. Parang minuto na nga lang, wala na ako. Kasi talagang yung namamagana, swollen niya yung brain ko. Nang ma-diagnose ako ng 2019 na I have a tumor, bukol, hindi ako nagpa-chemo. Basta it's natural, concentrate ako sa natural. Then, after ng 3 months, sabi nila, is kailangan ko na daw ipatanggal. So, hindi na siya babalik. So, pumunta ako ng hospital, natanggal naman siya, then, still, natural pa rin na product na aking tinitake. Pero, bumalik siya. Stage 4 na. Kasi nga, affected na yung brain ko, lungs, liver. Actually, may ano na siya, sign na para sa bone. Yun yung mga nakita sa CT scan ko. Then, nakilala ko si Sir Shyan na meron silang ganung product. PPARs na powder and tablets. Yun yung trinay ko habang nag-start na ako ng radiation ng 18. May, nag-chemo na ako. Natapos ko yung radiation ko for 10 session. So, okay yung effect. Nakayanan ko siya. May, nag-start na rin ako ng chemo para dun sa lungs and liver ko and yung abdominal, kasama na rin siya. Every 21 days, 3 days yung aking chemo. With the help talaga nung Simply Nature, hindi ko naranasan yung nakikita ko sa mga kasabayan kong nagkikimo na nagsusuka, sumasakit, giniginaw, may mga ganun, tapos parang hindi talaga sila makakain. Minsan nga, hindi nila natatapos yung treatment nila. Pero ako, natatapos ko siya, is 3 days pa, na ang recommended sa akin is dapat naka-admit ako ng 3 days. Since tight lang din ako sa budget, is nag-decide na lang ako mag-uwian. Kasi strong ako, kaya ko. The following month ulit, nakaya ko siya ng hanggang 5 cycle. Di ako nagsusuka, nagugas ng plato, may konti akong pinagkakabalhang tindahan. So, nagagawa ko. When I was diagnosed sa stage 4 cancer, I cried, of course. Hindi mo naman maiiwasan yun. Pero I never felt na hindi ko kakayanin. Parang kailangan ko lakasan ng loob ko para sa family ko, lalo na sa mga bata, sa mga anak ko, maliliit pa sila. Yung husband ko, naiyak siya, syempre. Pero nung makita niya akong lalaban ako, parang nadagdagan yung fighting spirit niya na talagang lalabanan natin to, mami, sabi niya gano'n. Narinig ko nga sinabi ng doktor na less than a year ako, pero hindi ako kinabahan. Tinitake ko is T-Pars powder, 2 scoop, nilalagay ko siya sa ilalim ng dila para ako matulog. Then 15 tablets every morning, empty stomach. Then sa afternoon din, 15 din ulit. Bumibili rin ako ng cleansing para panglinis. During chemo, radiation, ginagamit ko siya. Effect sa akin ng product, ng supplement na to is malakas ako. Kahit nagki-chemo ako, nag-radiation ako, hindi ako nanghihina. Kaya kong bumalik sa normal na kilos ko after ng chemotherapy ko. Happy ako sa mga result kasi after 3 months, pinag-CT scan na nga nila ako at saka MRI, good yung development, nabawasan lahat yung mga measurement. Siguro yun yung effect talaga ng supplement na tinitake ko. This month is naka-evaluation, PET scan na po ako. Happy ako dun sa result ng CT scan at saka MRI. Kasi nga, yung sa MRI ko, yung sa brain is from 1.09, naging 0.08 na lang siya, yung measurement niya. Then yung sa lungs ko, which is yung chest scan ko, is 9.05, naging 4.05 na lang. I will recommend Simply Nature to the other cancer patient kasi it's very effective for me. Kahit nag-treatment ka at tinitake mo yun, hindi ko naranasan yung mga naranasan ng other patient na nagsusuka, nanghihina, then walang ganang kumain. Hi, I'm Saida Gomez. I have stage 4 breast cancer, metastasis for the brain, lungs, liver, abdominal, and bone. Thanks to Simply Nature, I'm okay now, and I trust Simply Nature.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Sheila, your host for tonight. You are watching another episode of Simply Nature Webinar, your long-time running healthcare awareness webinar here in social media. This program is powered by Simply Nature International and Simply Healed Medical Group. Tonight's topic is entitled Best Treatment Options for Cervical Cancer in Early Stage to Late Stage. This webinar is a great way to end your August and start your September right. We appreciate each and every one of you for watching and registering to this webinar. We would love to know where you are watching us from. So please don't hesitate to comment them down on the comment section. Tonight's event will provide you with useful insights, expert perspectives, and practical strategies to better understand and manage the cervical cancer journey. To start off our discussion for tonight's topic, I'd like to call on a successful entrepreneur who is also a seasoned international speaker on a range of topics from personal success to healthcare, the CEO and founding director of Simply Nature International, the PPARS expert from Singapore, Mr. Shyan Lim. Good evening, Sir Shyan.
Hi, Sheila. So good to see you again. And good evening to all our viewers from all over the world. I think we have viewers from different countries. So please type in where you are viewing from. You know, our topics are, we just want to put on a smile to encourage everybody, and let's have a light heart even as we learn and deal with some very, very serious topics. I just want to let everybody know that we have another Ask Me Anything segment at the end of the discussion presentation by Dr. Jansen. This is our most, favorite, most welcome and most liked segment of our program. We've been doing it for more than 130 episodes, and every Thursday, you know, people ask questions for more than 1 hour. So type in your questions. We will try to get to them tonight. Stay tuned and enjoy the lecture or discussion by Dr. Jansen, and we look forward to your questions later in the Ask Me Anything segment. So back to
What we call an AMA or Ask Me Anything portion. So please, yes, questions are very much welcome. Even in Tagalog po, very welcome po iyang mga iyaan. Okay, so to start off our discussion for tonight's topic through his patient case presentation, I'd like to welcome Dr. Jansen Kalanan, a graduate from St. Luke's Medical Center, College of Medicine in 2016, and in 2019, he was conferred as a diplomate of the International Board of Lifestyle Medicine and Philippine College of Lifestyle Medicine. He is also the president of the Simply Healed Medical Group and a consultant at Alta Integrative Medicine and Wellness Complex at Perpetual Health Medical Center Las Piñas, where he manages patients with cancer and metabolic illnesses. Please, let's welcome
way for
Dr.
us to minimize the toxicity inside the bone marrow, which is actually what I usually prescribe to patients, which is Simply Nature PPARS. Okay, because Simply Nature PPARS protects the integrity of the bone marrow. So even if you receive this, the radiation, the chemotherapy, yes, you will feel the side effects. You will still feel nauseous. You can still feel vomiting. You can still have vomiting. You can still lose your hair. But yeah, you won't have as much anemia. You won't have your immune system. The integrity of your immune system will be preserved, and of course you won't bleed out because your platelet counts will still be there. Okay, so those are some of the benefits. So actually combining Simply Nature PPARS and with this treatment actually makes it more easy for patients to finish the chemo, the radiation.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Simply Healed. We're so glad that you're joining us again on our regular slot on Thursday, the longest running cancer discussion forum program online right now. Yep. So Dr. Jansen, good to see you again.
Yeah, hello Shyan, hello everyone, glad to be here again. Tonight, we're going to be discussing all about cervical cancer. Okay? So for cervical cancer, it's the second leading cause of cancer among women here in the Philippines. Cervical cancer is actually estimated to occur in about 7,800 women every year. And these are new cases, okay? Wow. And then also, in terms of cervical cancer deaths, it's estimated to be around 3,800 every year, okay? So this is actually a very common cancer among women.
But it's also a very treatable cancer,
yeah,
if you detect it
early. It's very treatable if you detect it early, but the mortality rate is also high if it becomes advanced already. Okay.
So, Doc, what is cervical cancer? Maybe
Alright.
a simple biology
Simple,
lesson
yeah.
for all of us.
Okay, so just to be clear where the cervix is, okay, so this is the female reproductive organ. So the cervix is found here, okay? So it is actually at the collar of the uterus, okay? So this is what cervix looks like. So on the left is the normal cervix. So as you can see, the cervix is actually round in shape. It's like a donut, no? So it's like a donut. Then at the center, that is the opening. If you go inside that, that's going to be entering the uterus already. Okay, so that is what the cervix looks like. Now, this is the normal one. Now, this can change in appearance when a woman gets pregnant. Okay, but if a woman gets cancer, this is what it will look like. Okay, on the right. So here on the right, you can see a fungating mass. Okay, a fungating tumor. You cannot actually see the cervix already. It's already very different. Okay, so
Is it painful?
Usually yes, but the pain is not that. It's not excruciating.
Not like bone cancer.
Yeah, it's not like bone cancer. There is just a discomfort that you can feel, which one of the symptoms.
So
no?
that makes it even more dangerous because I mean,
Yeah.
looking at the picture,
Yeah.
it's not a good condition.
Yeah.
But you don't really.
You don't really feel anything. By the time that you feel symptoms with cervical cancer, usually it will already be in an advanced stage. Okay, so here are the symptoms. All right, so as you can see in the previous picture, you have bleeding. Okay, the cervix is actually bleeding, so you will have spottings, intermenstrual bleeding or bleeding in between your menstruation. You can also bleed more heavily when you are on your period. Okay. You can have an increased vaginal discharge, which has a fishy or a foul odor. Okay. For cervical cancer, there is a very distinct smell that when you smell that odor, it is almost always cervical cancer.
Wow.
Yeah. So next is unexplained persistent or pelvic or back pain. Okay, especially in the lower back, you can also feel that, and pain during intercourse. Tension.
What should they do
Yeah.
next if they have this like persistent pelvic back pain and then pain during intercourse? What's the thing that they should do?
Okay, you should go to your doctor immediately. Okay, especially to your OBs. So when you go to your OBs for a consult, explain the symptoms. Now, these symptoms, usually to diagnose or to suspect cervical cancer, it should be a combination of these symptoms. For the risk factors, what risk factors increases your chance to develop cervical cancer? So we know that the most common cause of cervical cancer is HPV infection.
Which
HPV
can be vaccinated.
Yeah, you can get vaccinated for this. So watch our previous video to know to know about this. Okay, HPV infection. You have different types of viruses of HPV. You have the low risk and the high risk. It's the high risk HPV viruses that you should get vaccinated for, and it's the most common reason why you develop cervical cancer. Now, what are the risk factors? HPV or human papilloma virus is transmitted mainly through sexual activity. Okay? So if you have multiple sexual partners, if you are smoking, why? Smoking because it's just because smoking decreases your immune system, okay? It weakens your immune system, so that's why. Okay? Next is exposure to miscarriage prevention drug called diethylstilbestrol. Now this drug is mainly used way back in the 1950s. It's not used anymore now because it is cancerous. Okay, so
shouldn't be prescribed right now.
Yeah, shouldn't be. Okay, you should not be actually taking this. Okay, but for our grandparents and to some extent our parents who lived through the 1940s, 50s. Okay, they might have had the exposure to this. Okay, so you have to be very, very wary about that.
But perhaps let's just go through screening and diagnostics.
So,
how would they go about screening and diagnosis?
Okay, so how do you screen for cervical cancer? If you want early detection, it's pap smear. Pap smear can be done once every 3 years for sexually active women or who have had a sexual encounter before.
Doc, you mentioned once every 3 years. So, important question right now is, how fast is cervical cancer? I mean, will it grow very rapidly? That if you are just unlucky that you're in between.
Okay.
So how fast is cervical cancer?
No, usually cervical cancer takes years to develop. Okay, so it's also a slow-growing cancer early on. But if nothing is done, it becomes in an advanced stage, then it can grow very fast.
So Pap smear is a good strategy.
It's a good strategy.
Ladies, don't miss your Pap smear testing, especially if you have all those
risk
common
factors.
Risk factors
Okay,
that
so you know yourself. Okay, so another confirmatory test is HPV DNA test, which detects the HPV virus itself. Okay, which detects the high risk virus for developing. Also, one of the screenings that you can do. All right, Texas biopsy. Biopsy is a confirmatory test. Then imaging studies that you can do is transvaginal sonography. So this can be used as a screening or staging. But when it comes to staging, we have limited information. So because you cannot see the lymph nodes with ultrasound, and you need to see the lymph nodes to properly stage cervical cancer. So next is abdominal or pelvic CT scan, which is the one that is used to stage cervical cancer properly. Okay. Now, let's go to the staging. So we have 4 stages. All right, so the first stage is when the tumor is still confined in the cervix.
Wow.
Stage 2, when it invades the uterus. Then stage 3 is when the tumor invades the pelvic wall, lower third of the vagina, if it already involved the lymph nodes, and if you already have a non-functioning kidney. Okay. So lastly, stage 4 is when you have metastasis to the distant organs already, like your bladder, when I say bladder, your urinary bladder, your rectum, the distant lymph nodes, the more distant ones, like your neck lymph nodes, okay, shoulder lymph nodes, your lungs, your liver, your bone.
So what I saw that was interesting or important to note is that you mentioned that if you have cervical cancer, and kidney functions
can
get damaged.
Yeah.
Then can that actually lead to kidney failure while you are fighting cervical cancer?
Yeah, it can lead to kidney failure, especially if you cannot void normally already, and the pressure just builds up. Okay, so it can also happen.
No, I can also imagine, wouldn't this have a lot of other complications because you have toxins building up in your body? You can't wee and I'm sure many other organs get...
Yes, exactly. Especially if both kidneys are affected, then you will have to go on dialysis.
What about treatment? How does a person treat cervical cancer?
Primarily, on the early stages, cervical cancer can be treated using surgery. And it's really very... it's quite easy to do as well, because you just remove the uterus together, of course, with the cervix. You remove the ovaries, so you remove everything, the whole female reproductive organ. Then the prognosis of patients with this procedure is really good. Okay, because after the surgery, you just have to go on a brachytherapy. Then that's it. Okay, quite simple. But if the cancer already becomes more advanced, then surgery might not be an option already.
Because it's in more than one location.
Yeah, it's in more than one location, so it's actually not going to be wise already to do surgery, because even if you remove the tumor there, you have other locations that needs to be treated. Okay, so what we do is to go for a concurrent chemo and radiation therapy. So now, why should it be together by the term concurrent? Chemotherapy and radiation therapy should be administered together. Why is that so? So because for cervix, for the cervix is it's an organ where the cells do not replicate that fast anymore. Okay, so if it's that way, then it won't be as sensitive to radiation. That's why you need something that will stimulate the replication of cells, which is chemotherapy. Okay? So you administer them together. The radiation therapy will be effective. So now, what is that chemotherapy that is usually given to cervical cancer patients for this purpose? It's cisplatin.
Which is very important. Later,
okay?
Mention why.
Yeah,
wow.
So cisplatin, as all of you know, it's both cytotoxic, and in this case, by the term cytotoxic, it directly kills cells. It directly kills the cancer cells, both the cancer cell and the healthy cells, okay? But you need this because cisplatin also functions as a radiosensitizer. So a radiosensitizer means it's something to make the radiation more effective. Okay? Okay? So it's given together. All right?
What are side effects to watch out for?
Side effects.
When you're going through
Yeah,
this chemo?
because this is quite toxic. You can just imagine you just undergoing radiation
Both at the
therapy,
same
and then
time.
it's both at the same time, right?
Wow, that's
So, side effects to watch out for: anemia, fatigue, decreased WBC count, so you'd be more prone to infections.
Which, if you have a damaged kidney,
Yeah, all
it's
the
just
more
going to increase all the risk.
yeah, all the more bad news, no?
Yeah.
Nausea, vomiting because of the cisplatin, dermatitis, dryness of skin because of the radiation, bruising, bleeding because of decreased platelet count, and then UTI. Okay, so those are the side effects that you have to watch out for. Now, why is this so? Especially for anemia, fatigue, decreased WBC count, and the bruising and the bleeding. Okay, why do we have these symptoms? It's because cisplatin it's actually toxic to the bone marrow. Okay,
Wow.
it's the
Yes.
these white blood cells, no, your white blood cells, your red blood cells, your platelets, all grow from the bone marrow. Now, if you damage the bone marrow, then naturally your WBC, red blood cells, and your platelet counts will go down. So there is actually a way for us to minimize the toxicity inside the bone marrow, which is actually what I usually prescribe to patients, which is simple chemotherapy. Yes, you will feel the side effects. You will still feel nauseous. You can still feel vomiting. You can still have vomiting. You can still lose your hair. But yeah, you won't have as much anemia. You won't have your immune system, integrity of your immune system will be preserved. And of course, you won't bleed out because your platelet counts will still be there. Okay? So, those are some of the benefits. So, actually, combining Simply Nature PPARs and with this treatment actually makes it more easy for patients to finish the chemo, the radiation.
And
Yeah.
we do know that the chemo radiation therapy, though difficult to endure, does work to treat and cure you of cancer. So together with the extract, Simply liquid extract, to work together to minimize all the damage.
Yeah.
This is just good news and good news and good news for all cervical cancer patients. And of course, for those of our viewers who are always very interested in natural, yes, have a consult with Dr. Jansen because Simply Nature protocols work very well in lifestyle medicine to provide you a natural approach to treating cancer. But we always talk about chemotherapy and radiation therapy because when cancer reaches the third and especially the fourth stage, time is of an essence. You don't want to stand on a ideological perspective. You don't want to stand that I am natural, I am what? No. I think when you're at fourth stage, you want to say, let me use everything that works.
Yeah,
right?
use everything that works to increase the quality of life, to extend your lifespan. Okay, because time is more important now than ever.
Yeah, so
Okay.
once that's why for me and Dr. Jansen, we believe in natural too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why Dr. Jansen's a lifestyle medicine doctor, right?
Yeah,
Using foods
yeah.
to heal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but we do take time to talk always about chemotherapy and radiation therapy because many of our viewers are afraid of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, but please don't misunderstand. Dr. Jansen is vegan, right? He takes purely only vegetables. So of course we are firm believers of the natural approach, but we have to, for your good, for the good of our listeners, we have to help you not be afraid, so that if you really are in late stage cancer, you will use all the best options available to you. All right, so that's why we talk about chemotherapy and radiation therapy so often. So Doc, if we move fast, what is the success rate? And why for late stage cancer we would go to, use such strong therapy like chemotherapy and radiation therapy? What is the survival rates of cervical cancer?
Okay. The numbers that you see here, please try to understand how they came up with these numbers. So these numbers are the ones are the chances, the survival rates in 5 years. So if you first got diagnosed with an early stage or localized cervical cancer, then your survival rate is 92%. Why is it at an early stage? Of course, if you know that you have cervical cancer at an early stage, you get treated. Okay? How do they treat early stage cervical cancer? If it's so small, then just a simple biopsy will do.
Wow.
Okay?
And if then, eat well, lifestyle medicine, and make sure you recover.
You survive. Okay? Yeah. If it is a little bit big already, then do the surgery. Once you're done with the surgery, usually oncos are a little more, in Filipino we call it sigurista. More thorough. They don't want to take chances. They want a more aggressive approach, so they give you radiation therapy. That's why you have a very high survival rate, okay, for a localized cervical cancer. But when it goes regional, right, once it involves the other organs, when surgery is already not an option, then it decreases to 58%. Okay? Especially if you got diagnosed with stage 3, stage 2, stage 3, no? Cervical cancer, then this is what happens, especially stage 3. Now, for distant cervical cancer, metastatic already, then chances is 18% of survival, okay? So, as you all see, no, for all cancers, the more advanced it is, when you get diagnosed first, then the prognosis is bad.
Yeah.
It will be worse. Okay, so it's very important. Time is of the essence. Try to take action immediately. Okay, do not dilly-dally and try to go doctor hopping. Okay, if you see a good doctor that knows what he's doing, then go for it.
Yeah. And
right?
As we talk about time being the essence, we also noticed that the questions are coming in. I can see some questions are focused on cervical cancer, but there are also other questions coming in general about other types of cancer. And of course, I see a few questions coming in about what foods to take, Doc.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's move to our AMA Ask Me Anything segment.
Thank you so much, Doc Jansen, and of course, Sir Shyan, for that very informative discussion about cervical cancer. I'm sure that based on the questions that we are seeing here, I'm sure that they have learned so much from that discussion. So once again, for those of you who just came in, I just want to introduce the experts who will answer our questions for tonight, starting off with our CEO of Simply Nature, Mr. Shyan Lim, and of course, the President of Simply Health Medical Group, Dr. Jansen Kalalang. Once again, Sir Shyan, Dr. Jansen, good evening.
Aura in BGC. So not only will Dr. Jansen and I be there, Sheila will also be there. We'll be inviting cancer survivors, third, fourth stage cancer survivors, to come and share their story. What's also very exciting is we're going to have another panelist to join us, which is one of the top oncological surgeons in Philippines, in the country, which is Dr. Jimmy Katapia. So myself, Dr. Jimmy, and of course the keynote speaker that night will be that morning will be Dr. Jansen. There will be a Q&A like tonight, so you can ask your questions and we can answer them live in front of you. And maybe if you stick around, you can squeeze a free consult out of Dr. Jansen before he leaves the venue. All right. So once again, October 14th, everyone mark that down on your calendar. And we hope to see you there. If you want to know how to register, please ask in the chat box. I'm sure someone will help you. Sheila, let's go.
Thank you, Sir Shyan. Yeah, I just mentioned a while ago that this webinar is actually a good start to their September, making it and you're starting it really good, right? So just before, I think we're having a little bit of technical issues. So just while we are waiting, all right, for our videos, all right, I just want to greet, of course, our avid viewers from long time since we've started here in our Simply Nature webinar. Starting up, of course, with Miss Lily Nia from Malaysia. Thank you so much for always watching us. Miss Mavs Agot, and of course, Miss Felicissima Siman. Of course, we also have a lot of viewers new viewers actually. All right, coming from Saudi Arabia. Miss Rhea, thank you for joining us tonight. All right, also Miss Sasha Stark, Lorna Fuentes, of course. And we also have asked everybody to mention or note down their locations a while ago. So we have here coming from Visayas and also Mindanao. Wow, it's amazing because a while ago it was really raining hard, right? And right. May I confirm with our very beautiful technicals tonight if everything's okay now? Are we good? Are we good? Okay. No worries. All right. Okay, by the way, while we're still waiting, okay, I just want to reiterate or shout or echo out what Sir Shyan mentioned a while ago about the upcoming October 14. All right. I want to take this opportunity really because apart from registering for this webinar or for this face-to-face event, which is, by the way, entitled Navigating the Cancer Journey, a comprehensive look at cancer care for patients. Or I know that what you are. I think the event that I am talking about this coming October 14 is flashed on your screens with the QR code so that you'll get to know all the details about this event. All right, which is, by the way, all right, this is very exciting. You're actually getting, all right, you're actually getting worth more than thousands of freebies by just attending on this webinar. Right? So this is really exciting. So I really do suggest you to scan the QR code, and of course, which will be showing and presenting to you before we say goodbye later. All right. Okay, I think the technicals are already good now. Sir Shyan?
Yes, I think
Doc
we got
Jansen,
through. Everybody, we are back. All right. Okay, that's great.
all right. Okay, so for the first question for tonight coming from Ms. Liana Lim, the question is, can myoma lead to cancer? Good question.
What specific cancer? If you are asking if myomas can turn into uterine cancer, in some very rare cases, it can. So the medical term for us is leiomyoma. Leiomyoma cancerous, which is leiomyosarcoma. Leiomyomas in very rare cases can turn into leiomyosarcomas. Okay. What percentage? It's less than 1%. So it's really very rare. We only have a handful of cases around the world. Okay.
That's good. Thank you. Sir Shyan, shall we proceed to the
Yeah,
next
let's
question?
go. Let's go.
All right. Okay. All right. Next question coming from Ms. Rhea Grace Flores. What risks or side effects are there to the treatments that you suggest on your discussion? Are there things we can do to reduce this side effects?
Okay. In the sure, I suggested number one, chemotherapy, radiation therapy. Those two procedures definitely have bad side effects. because they eradicate not just the cancer cells but also the healthy cells. Okay, so what are the detrimental side effects of these treatments? Number one, aside from the physical appearance, I'm going to enumerate the more significant ones. Okay, number one is you can have anemia. Okay, your immune system can be suppressed. Bleeding issues can also occur. Why? Because these procedures also impact the bone marrow negatively. And for that matter, how can we mitigate this? We can mitigate them by eating right, number one, exercising, okay, and taking supplements like Simply Nature Peepers. Simply Nature Peepers actually has a study about this wherein um, mice who were administered with cisplatin. Cisplatin is a chemotherapeutic drug. When they gave them Simply Nature liquid extracts, the bone marrow of these mice were protected. It's actually published in a very reputable journal.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sir Shyan, about PPARs.
Yeah, I think for all our viewers out there doing chemotherapy, Jimmy Katapia, he administers chemotherapy. So the first time he used our product was because there was a particular patient of his that after taking chemotherapy did not react well with chemotherapy. The patient wanted to carry on with chemotherapy, but the side effects was too strong for the patient. So what happened was Dr. Katapia then put the patient on liquid extract, and the patient was able to recover the strength, and all the side effects were able to be overcome. And the patient actually went back to be the chemotherapy. And from that point onwards, I believe for Dr. Jimmy, a standard practice for any of his patients that are going for chemotherapy is to take the soft gel capsule as a base. And if they actually are one of those patients that are more sensitive to chemotherapy, then he uses, like, for example, liquid extract to strengthen them. And even Dr. Jansen himself has been able to strengthen patients enough to use chemotherapy when they couldn't. So I think this is very important for all our viewers to understand. Sometimes you need chemotherapy because your cancer is very aggressive, or it's too fast for you to use natural, because natural is good, but natural is slower, right? It's just like if you have a terrible fever, you sometimes need to go for a quick injection, bring the temperature down. If you want to wait it out, you might suffer brain damage. So to all cancer patients out there, if you want to know more whether you really need to go for chemotherapy or you can go natural therapy, why don't you make a consult with Dr. Jansen? He'll be better able to assess your specific situation and give you the right advice. And come to our October 14 event, right? You can ask those questions again. And of course, the great thing is there's a surgeon in the house. So if you have any questions about surgery, you can ask too.
There's so much to get in that October 14 event, I must say. All right. Coming to the next question from Ms. Wilhelm de la Cruz. Good evening, everyone po. How can we tell the difference between the discharge coming from a cervical cancer to...
On the other hand, for yeast infection, definitely number one, it is not bloody. Okay. Another character of a yeast infection, the vaginal discharge of a yeast infection, is it can sometimes be frothy. What else? There can be itching as well. Okay, so that's how we can distinguish. However, the smell, I think, would be also identical. Okay, however, there's really a very distinct smell of cervical cancer patients. Okay, so more often than not, when a patient comes in the doctor's clinic, just with the smell, the doctor can have an idea what this patient has already. Okay, so that just from my experience and the experience of some of my professors in med school.
Thank you, Dr. Jansen. Actually, talking about yeast infection, we have a question coming from Celestial de Pasupil, thrown to us ahead of time. How about home remedies for yeast infections?
Okay,
Are there
home
any?
remedies for yeast infection. I do not suggest for you to use any of those because it can worsen the yeast infection, and these are not proven treatment for them, okay, for the yeast infection. So if you suspect that you might have a yeast infection, go see your OB so you can receive the proper treatment. Okay, do not experiment with home remedies because it can worsen your condition.
Oh, okay. All right. Good point. Thank you, Dr. Jansen. All right. Another question coming from Miss Alma
Sorry,
Alcantara.
Doctor.
What are the chances?
Sorry, Sheila. I
Go
think
ahead.
I wanted to ask this question
Yes.
because as a Singaporean, I'm not familiar with feminine wash. You know, in Singapore, there's no such product as feminine wash. And I'm not saying it's because I'm a guy, okay? I'm just saying I have a sister at home and of course a mom. In Singapore, we don't have a product called feminine wash. So, you know, I think we've spoken about this years ago, that is feminine wash even really good? Because I think it interferes with the natural pH and the microbiome, especially if it actually contains like alcohol or something like that. Yeah. Doc, any comments about this one?
Well, in general, the feminine wash that we have in the market, especially from the reputable brands, they're okay to use. Actually, it is something that nurtures or maintains the natural pH of the vagina. Okay, it is a little bit around. It is in the acidic side, mildly acidic side. Okay. However, for that matter, I will not use any feminine wash or suggest or recommend any feminine wash that is not from a very reputable brand, especially those that is cheap. Also, okay.
Okay.
So be careful of those.
Yeah,
Always
because
use feminine wash from the more reputable brand.
you know, Doc, when you said don't cervical cancer with home remedies, I think feminine wash might fall into that category because there are many quality, you know, there are different prices, you know, so you might end up using one that is not conducive or not actually healthy for your reproductive area, right? Anyway, so I just want to share with you an entire country of Singapore with 6 million over people. We are fine and we've never used feminine wash. And I actually studied in the United States as well. I have never come across feminine wash in the United States as well. And I was there for 7 years. So I think it's just something that, yeah, just something for you to think about for those of you for the ladies in Philippines.
Good point. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doc. It's a girl thing, okay? All right. Another question coming from Serlina Lim. What if I have fibroid already? Menopause since last year. Will this lead to
Same time, myomas will not lead to cervical cancer.
that's what they told my auntie. They didn't tell what stage also.
Okay. For this case, I think the stage of the cancer is quite early. However, they have to remove all the reproductive organs because for cervical cancer, it has a tendency to metastasize in these organs. Okay, and if the cervical cancer have had metastasized already, which we don't know because it is microscopic, then it's a good thing that they have removed these organs. Now, why did they choose radiation instead of chemo? Again, it's because the cancer might have been in the early stages, probably stage 1 or 2. I don't know. They did not specify, no, but that's my rough guess. Okay, because for these cases, chemotherapy is usually reserved for the more advanced cases like 3 and 4 already.
I see. Thank you so much, Doc. I just want to ask everybody, all right, can you please type in on the comment section if you can hear us well and you can see us, all right, clearly? All right. Okay, thank you so much. All right, another question thrown to us ahead of time coming from Miss Aris Romano. Are there latest updates for cancer? Okay, are there any latest updates for cancer apart from chemo, apart from radiation surgery?
Okay, in the field of cancer, the approach is becoming more and more multi-specialty already. So it's not just well, oncologists typically not just treat cancer patients with a single modality like chemotherapy or radiation therapy or surgery alone. It's usually a mixture of these. And for that matter, chemotherapy is not the first line treatment already for cancer. So it's usually considered as, if not the last option, it's the second or the third option. Okay, the other treatment modalities would either be targeted therapy or immunotherapy. These treatments would come first. Okay, and aside from that, in terms of the lifestyle medicine approach, we have a lot of guidelines already. Lifestyle prescriptions for cancer patients, which I usually prescribe in my patients who undergo consultations. But just to give you an idea, that would be a whole food plant-based diet and regular physical activity. Okay. What else? What else? I think that so far that's what I know right now. Nowadays, the rest would be new molecules, new drugs that they have developed. Some are quite promising, actually.
You know, to our viewers tonight, I think this is really important. We've discussed this a few times before, because many of you actually ask very specific questions like, I'm going under radiation therapy. Why is it the case? Why is it not chemotherapy? Then I'm using this chemotherapy drug. How long will I have to take it? So I noticed that as cancer patients, right, you are moved from one doctor to another, right? Then when you're done with this phase of your treatment, you move on to another. For example, cancer patients who are successful in their fight against cancer, when they're in remission, they then go and look for nutritionists, or some go to some lifestyle conference, right? Some nutrition conference, or they travel to, I've heard of a couple in Singapore that travel to Greece in order to live a more healthy lifestyle. So what I'm just saying is that there is no one person or no doctor that is answering your question at every step of your cancer treatment. So I would really like to suggest that those of you to find a doctor that will oversee your entire process, right? So that when you are going through the surgeon, and then the surgeon does this and that, then you say, oh, you come back and you ask, for example, if Dr. Jansen is your primary care physician, then you will tell him, oh, my surgeon did this, and then Dr. Jansen can answer the questions. And then next, when you go for chemotherapy, it might be a different oncologist from your surgeon, and then he does this. And if you don't feel well and you are talking, you can talk back again to the same doctor, Dr. Jansen, who knew you when you were doing your surgery. And then it's very clear of your medical condition. And then he may be able to say something, oh, do tell your oncologist to consider this because you went for that surgery and whatever, right? So I think it's really good. And more importantly, is that someone can support you throughout the whole process. What to do when you're preparing for surgery, what to do when you're preparing for chemotherapy, what to do when you're succeeded, when you are all clear, right? From all clear, you need to go for another 4 more years, 5 more years from now. So what do? Then you just go to a nutritionist. Oh my goodness, right? You need a professional to know what you went through. The nutritionist won't know what about your surgery or your chemotherapy or your immunotherapy. So again, I think this is a new development, a new way to manage your cancer journey. You know, have someone like Dr. Jansen accompanying you from the start all the way to the 5-year mark and beyond. And this is one doctor who will know your entire journey, right? All the challenges that you went through, all the different approaches you tried. So I think that's really important. Just like why you have so many questions for us tonight, right? Imagine it's not just Thursday night, because Dr. Jansen won't remember you. If you say, Doc, I asked a question, 6 months ago on that Thursday, Dr. Jansen won't remember you, and you won't have the details of your case, right? So I think it's really good if you engage like a doctor like Dr. Jansen, that you can always go back and ask questions, right? And I think this is the best part. After the pandemic, teleconsult is, I think, the best way to have such a relationship with a doctor that will oversee your cancer journey. You don't have to go travel and then wait in the hospital just to ask a question. Just arrange for a teleconsult, clear your doubts. If you come across something new that you want to try, you can always have a doctor that you can talk to. Just make an appointment, go in front of your screen, your mobile phone, and then you are able to converse. So again, I want to encourage everyone to do that. Yeah, thank you. I think Miss Roselle said, that's right. Continuity of care is important. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So for those of you tonight who don't have such a doctor, I would really recommend Dr. Jansen, because I'm always challenging him also. I'm challenging him with ideas from TCM on the approach to health. So we're always improving and looking at many different options so that we can be knowledgeable in answering and guiding our viewers like you.
Thank you, Sir Shyan. All right, by the way, for those of you who wish to have a consult with Dr. Jansen Kalalan, the link for you to set an appointment with Miss Beth is in the description and the comment sections. Or you can just type in as simple as how to consult. We'll get in touch with you individually. Right away by Miss Beth. Okay. All right. Okay, next question coming from Miss Hugues Calles. Okay. Hi, Doc. I'm Jennifer Tanloy. Okay. My question is how to treat residual tumor.
Okay, how do you treat residual tumor? Number one, depends on where it is located. But usually, if it can be resected, then surgery. That would be the best. If it cannot be resected, then another treatment method would be radiation therapy. Usually, it's those two. And lastly, it's again chemo. So those are the number. Those are a number of modalities that can be used to treat any residual tumors or any tumors that was left. Okay.
Another thing about tumors as well is that our body is one of the most anti-tumor. Is designed to be anti-tumor, right? That's why human beings actually, we are high metabolic rate, but yet we live to up to 120. Whereas animals usually start developing cancer and tumors much faster than us. That's why your dogs, your hamsters, they all have shorter life. So what's the issue is that our immune system is compromised. So one strategy that you can take to address tumor is to make sure your body is regulated from the immune response to inflammation. Everything is actually working as it's supposed to be. So one way you can do that is actually through Simply Nature PIPA protocols. So if you're interested on how that could be done for you, please just ask the question. But basically, yeah, even my niece had a tumor, but not really a tumor. Hers was like a growth on her lips. So the pediatrician wanted to just cut it out, which is a great move. However, what worried my sister is that she had to go for general anesthesia. So my niece was only, I think, 4 or 5 years old at that time. So my sister was worried about potential brain damage if the dosage is wrong and things like that. So in the end, she just took Simply Nature PPAP tablets and the growth disappeared. So I'm just sharing that if your tumor reduction, if everything is not cancerous anymore, you just want to be able to, you can try. If you want a natural approach, you can try.
Thank you, sir. I just want to quickly share because I have the same worry with your sister when my son
Hi.
is, when he underwent chemo and of course the surgery. That's also my worry. But then right now that she's already doing school or studies, I'm happy to witness how he's doing really well in school. So
Oh, he's doing
just
well in school, right? Praise God.
yes, yes, and he was with PPARs all along during his chemotherapy journey. So there.
See?
All right, thank you, Sir. Right, another question coming from Ms. Maria Lado. Okay po ba yung thermal ablation? Ooh, what's that?
It depends on what kind of cancer, but thermal ablation is similar to excising the tumor. However, the difference is you don't cut out, you burn. Okay? That is burning. And it can be effective in small cancers. Where is it usually used? Usually for liver cancer, another one for cervical cancer, it's cryoablation. But thermal ablation, the word seems to be something to do with heat. Cryoablation is you use a knife that is very cold, then you cut out. Okay. For liver cancer, you use thermal ablation, microwave ablation. Actually, that's also known as your radio frequency ablation. So that is literally burning the tumor.
Very interesting. Okay. All right. Next question is also interesting, coming from Ms. Wei Pongkun. Can cervical cancer happen to virgins? What's the youngest age patient in your experience?
Yes, it can happen to virgins. However, I have not had any patients who were virgins who developed cervical cancer. However, it can happen, especially when the sexual encounter is not was there was no penetration involved. The partner was a carrier of HPV virus that can actually go up into the cervix in very rare cases, for that matter. Okay, yeah. But it is a thing that is very much possible. Even virgins can develop cervical cancer. That's why, regardless of sexual history, when women reach 26 years old, we recommend pap smear already.
Thank you, Doc. Right. Another question coming from Ms. Noor Mujidi. Cervical cancer can cervical cancer be metastatic on the other parts, or is it not?
Yes, cervical cancer, well, it is a cancer, so it is malignant. So anything that is cancerous can metastasize or it can spread to other parts of the body. However, for cervical cancer, usually where does it spread? Of course, to the pelvic organs. So that would be your reproductive organs. Where else? It can metastasize to your bladder. It can metastasize to your intestine. It can metastasize to your bladder, to your bones. Usually lungs as well.
Thank you, Doc Nansen. Right. Another question coming from Ms. Melissa Regacho. You've mentioned a while ago that the test to prevent cervical cancer is up until 65. So the question is there a possibility of having cervical cancer if you're more than 60 years old? So there is, right?
It is still possible. However, the probability is going to go down already. Yeah. Okay. More often than not, if you are not infected when you reach 65 or more than 65 years old, you're not gonna have it. If ever you do develop cervical cancer by, say, for example, 65, 66 years old, it would have been detected already previously in the previous years when you have had your last pap smear test.
Thank you, Dr. Nansen. All right. Another question. Okay, it's about endometriosis coming from Ms. Reina. What is the best medical approach for this?
Depends on the stage again. However, for endometriosis, treatment modalities involve surgery, radiation therapy, chemotherapy. Okay. However, for that matter, again, no, these, especially chemo and radiation therapy, they can be very toxic to the body, and sometimes patients don't respond, and some patients even succumb to death. So we have, or me personally, I use other treatment modalities to better the chances of survival of the patient so that the patient can finish the treatment. So what are those? I usually use, of course, Simply Nature PPARs. Another treatment modality that I use is ozone therapy. It can actually make the effect of radiation therapy and chemotherapy more effective while stimulating the recovery of your body.
Thank you, Doc. Doc, I have a very follow-up question because I get this a lot from our patients asking, should they still continue on with the chemotherapy after surgery? What is your take on really completing the whole journey of it, or just finishing just a part of it?
Okay. The importance of finishing your treatment, be it radiation, chemo, surgery, or a combination of these things, very important that you complete this because that completing your treatment, the entire treatment would increase your overall survival, meaning the amount of time that you live after getting diagnosed. It will reduce your chances of recurrence, or it will increase the amount of time that you are cancer free. Okay, those are the two very important factors that you want to get actually, or you want to achieve if you are a cancer patient. Okay, and if you don't complete, or if you only do a part, or you don't complete the recommended treatments, then overall survival can suffer. Your chances of recurrence can increase, or the amount of time that you are cancer free can also shorten, or you may not you may not achieve a remission at all. So that's the problem. So completing your cancer treatment, whatever your oncologist recommends for you to do, it's very important for you to complete them. Okay?
Thank you, Doc Jansen. I actually remember what Sir Sean mentioned before. He said that after your surgery, it's you can be like a Pacquiao, knocking out every single cancer cell. So continue on with your chemo and of course with PPARs together. Right, Sir Sean?
Yeah, I think this is something everybody will be wondering. Chemo is doc, right? Chemo is damaging. Chemo is toxic. Then why would after a successful surgery, why would I still take all these toxic side? Yeah, right. But Dr. Johnson explained.
Yep.
You know, cancer cells are very small. This is the best time to completely try to wipe them out and wipe them out as much as possible. So in the past, if you were just going to take chemo like that, it's like an expensive price. It's like a very high price insurance in the sense that yes, you get assurance that the cancer cells are killed, but you also damage your immune system, which makes you weak to any cancer cells that survive, right? But however, if you combine chemo with Simply Nature extracts, then it becomes a good insurance policy. Something that's affordable, gives you good protection, and also you can still keep healthy, something you can afford to do in terms of payment from your health, from an aspect from your health. So, you know, this is what is important, why we have this program. What used to not work can work today, right? And tomorrow we might have new protocols. I think Dr. Jansen one day will be sharing about more vitamin C and even ozone treatment, right? So it's like cancer evolves and mutates, but so do our treatment protocols. So this is just to give everyone like the best, most up-to-date as we can, so that you have the best chance to beat cancer.
Thank you, Sir Sean. All right, I just want to echo out once again. If you are interested to have a consult with Dr. Jansen Kalalan, please type in how to consult, as simple as that, or you can click on the the link on the description box and of course on the comment section. Okay. All right. Another question coming from Miss Bisminda Batoy. Are there other options in palliative care, or palliative care?
Okay. Other options other than palliative care. Okay. Let's just define what palliative care is first and who is it for. Okay. Palliative care is the approach of palliative care is quality of life. It's just to make the rest of your time here on earth as much as possible comfortable. That is what palliative care is. What is it? Who is it used for, or who is it reserved for? It is usually reserved for patients wherein there's nothing further we can do already. They're in that kind of situation. So treatment options are exhausted, or the patient is in a therapeutic dilemma, meaning if you treat the patient, there's something bad that can happen to the patient. If you don't treat, there's something bad that will happen as well. Okay, so it's sort of like you're in the middle. Each way you go, left or right, there's something bad that's gonna happen. Okay, so palliative care is reserved for patients in those kinds of situation. Is there any other option other than palliative care? One question would be, what is your goal? Okay, what is your goal? Because palliative care, the approach is not curative. Okay, if you want a curative approach, this is when we have to talk about outcomes and risks on the quality of life of the patient. Because most often than not, if the approach is curative, then the approach would be relatively aggressive for the situation or for the condition of the patient already. Yeah, so that is yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Doc Jansen. All right, so another question coming from Ms. Shirley Bongat. What treatment for patients with normal FSH but stop menstruating at 51 years old? FSH.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the patient. It just happens. People, yeah, women, 51 years old is right around the perimenopausal age already, and some actually stop menstruating by then. Okay, FSH is just a follicle stimulating hormone, and even though it is normal, women can just undergo menopause because the eggs are yeah, you don't have eggs already. You don't have egg cells already. Okay, so I hope I answered your question.
I'm curious about this, Doc, about this menopausal thing. How early can a lady or a woman experience this, and how late can, in terms of age?
Let me check my resources, ha? Let me see if this is correct. Yeah. The perimenopausal age usually is around 45 years old, 45 to 55 years old, around that age. So, however, that is considering extremes already. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doc. All right, another question coming from Mr. Sherwin Salcedo. I think he has in terms of cancer treatment, what coffee can he take or can I take? What type of coffee?
Coffee is never used for cancer
the only
treatment, okay?
that is
But
okay.
if if you are a coffee lover, then if you have cancer, you can drink whatever coffee you want as long as there's no dairy in it and there's no sugar. You can add in plant-based milks, of course, but
Oat milk.
never dairy.
I recommend oat milk. I don't take my cappuccino with sugar because sugar is not good for you, and I've learned to enjoy it without. So with oat milk, yeah, that's my recommendation. I don't like soy. Soy has a sour taste, and Filipino coffee already has a sour aftertaste. So that's not, to me. I definitely prefer oat milk.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doc Jansen. Okay, another question coming from Ms. Rosalie Mendoza. Is there a herbal supplement that can help in treating cervical cancer? Herbal.
That one I don't know, but my take is don't use herbal supplements to treat cervical cancer.
Why?
99 out of 100, it won't work. It
Sir
won't.
Sean, would you like to add on that?
Yeah, I think to help everybody understand as well, since we talk about people ask about PPARs, I saw a few questions. So the first question is, yeah, PPAR is extracted from a particular unique strain of algae. All right, so that's number one. Can PPARs be used as a treatment protocol for tumors and cancer? Okay, so here I want to address it something. PPARs is not like chemotherapy. Chemotherapy directly acts on the cancer tumor, right? It literally attacks the cancer tumor. So how PPAR works is that it works by strengthening or modulating your immune system, modulating your inflammation. So basically, it helps your own body change the condition in your body so that it's not conducive for tumors and cancers to grow. So inflammation creates a very positive environment for cancer and tumors to grow, right? Because inflammation also makes it easy for blood vessels to be formed, which feeds tumors to grow, right? So when you're able to deal with inflammation, you assist in your body's fight against cancer. It's like adjusting the thermostat. For example, your thermostat for inflammation is damaged, which is why you develop cancer, because you have chronic inflammation. So taking PPAR's protocol helps to repair that thermostat, right? So that makes the temperature in your body, the inflammation level, to be ideal, to be healthy, and that makes it more difficult for cancer. Now, it also improves your immune system and modulates your immune system. So that's good for lupus patients as well, eczema, psoriasis, because that's when your immune system actually attacks your own body. So this one, we modulate the immune system. So if the immune system is healthy and strong and is working correctly, able to detect the cancer cells, that's why it's effective for cancer. So it's also effective for tumor, because tumors are growing for the same reason. So what's the limit and what's the application of PPAR protocols? As I explain it this way, you can see that it's possible. It's not guaranteed, but it's possible for PPARs to be applied very generically for almost any type of tumor. Now, if it's not able to completely treat the tumor, it will still help by putting your body in the right temperature for inflammation, by strengthening your immune system. So it's definitely going to have an effect that you want. It's just how strong it is, that's all right? So for certain cancers, PPARs, the effect of PPARs is much stronger than other types of cancers. But also remember, the PPARs at the same time works on your cholesterol level, your blood sugar level. So you can see it's going to have positive effect. That's why it helps. It's also a kidney aid and liver aid, so it helps with that. Dr. Jansen has good results for CKD patients using PPARs. So you can imagine if you're going through cancer or whatever other illnesses, it's not only one organ that is being stressed or affected. So this is why the PPAR protocol is so effective as a basic general foundational protocol. On top of that, you can add vitamin C drip if you want as an antioxidant, as a pro-oxidant. You can add whatever other supplements or TCM on top of this. So, but PPAR protocols is like the very basic that basically helps in every direction, right? So I hope that's useful. Oh, someone said,
Go ahead.
do you guarantee the healing of the cancer? Sonia's asking.
Yeah.
I think I just answered your question, right? For sure, it's going to make your body fight cancer more effectively, okay? But cancer, as Dr. Jansen said, even oncologists have become to agree. And cancer is not fought one way only, all right? The best way to fight cancer is to use multiple approaches. It's just like To be healthy, you can't just eat bananas, right? You have to eat broccoli, and you can't just eat broccoli and no other vegetables, right? You have to eat carrots. You can't just eat broccoli. Now, if you eat healthily but don't exercise, you're not going to be healthy either. If you exercise in the gym, eat healthy, but you never step out into the sun, all right? You always exercise indoor, fluorescent light. You eat healthy, but you never go out in the sun. You're not going to be healthy either. So when you approach cancer, try not to look at cancer as a one pill to fight cancer. I think that is dangerous. So for Sonia, I would want to encourage you that combine different cancer treatment approaches. That will be better for you, that you get a better result, right? Every correct protocol that you adds 5%, adds 10%, adds a 15% improvement to your fight against cancer. So if you get the right combination from natural to surgery to chemo to immunotherapy, but you combine and lifestyle change, you combine it all correctly, then you're going to do well. You're not only going to beat the cancer, you're going to beat the cancer and come out looking healthy and strong, and that the cancer won't come back a second time. So again, for Sonia, I would actually recommend you go for a consult with Dr. Jansen, so that if you're exploring trying to combine natural with surgery, with whatever, I think he's the best doctor to consult with.
I agree. Totally agree. Right? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Jansen. Another question coming from Ms. Felicissima Siman. Doc, ilang percent na makakatulong sa mga kababaihan ang HPV vaccine to prevent cervical cancer? How many percentage can it help?
100%. No, not 100%, okay? Because the cervical cancer vaccine or the HPV vaccine only protects you with the most common strain of HPV that causes cervical cancer. And not just cervical cancer, it's also genital warts. Okay, so it's not 100%. What percent? At least 90%. You'll be protected. So it is still a very wise decision to have yourself vaccinated, because it is one of the few cancers that we have nowadays that we have developed vaccines against. And cervical cancer vaccine is just 3 doses. So you'll just spend around 15,000. The most would be 20, perhaps. And what is 20,000 compared to 100,000, 200, 400,000 when you have the cancer already? Okay, so if you get the opportunity, please take the vaccine.
Thank you, Dr. Jansen. All right. I have an interesting question which thrown to us privately. A question from a friend. Possible pa ba magkaroon ng sexual activity? Is it possible to still have sexual activity after cervical cancer? Post-treatment 2 years ago, done concurrent chemo and radiation therapy. Done Tabiso 2021 in chemo. Also, no malignancy, recent pap smear. Thanks.
It depends on your partner. The patient have finished radiation therapy already. One side effect of undergoing radiation therapy, especially brachytherapy, down there, okay, is that it can dry up the vagina. So if it dries up the vagina, then sexual intercourse can be very painful, especially for the woman. So can you undergo sexual intercourse? Definitely yes. However, please communicate with your wife. Make sure that she is comfortable. If it is quite painful, perhaps you can use some lubricants. If she's really uncomfortable, then there's no way, or else you risk bleeding.
All right. Thank you for answering that question. Okay. All right. Miss Sonia, a while ago, who was asking about PPARs, is now asking, what are the ingredients of PPARs?
Oh, okay, good. This is my area of expertise. The ingredients of PPARs is simply just the natural microalgae. That's why Dr. Jansen and those who practice lifestyle medicine love our product, because you're just eating plant-based whole food. All right. Now the extracts. How do we make the extracts? The extracts are what we get when we remove the carbohydrate, remove the proteins, right? Remove the fiber and all that, and left with a selection of phytonutrients and very important long-chain fatty, fatty acids, which act as PPAR agonists. All right. So basically, you are taking a plant extract. And this plant is different from ginseng or lingzi. Okay, what's the difference? Algae are foods, which means our body can properly absorb and metabolize them, and it doesn't have a herbal effect. It works by feeding your cells and triggering like the mRNA vaccine, but it's not an herbal. So it doesn't fall in the category of herbs. Okay, so what's the difference between food and herbs? You cannot eat ginseng and expect to live by just eating ginseng. But if you just take a sack of potatoes, you can live a long time on just potatoes. You may not be very healthy, but it's food. It feeds your body. You are able to survive on it. You cannot survive on just eating lingzi or ginseng. Okay, so if you're going for war and you're going to hide in a bomb shelter for 2 weeks, given a choice between a bag of potatoes and a bag of ginseng, please take the potatoes, because if you just take the ginseng, you're probably going to have nosebleed and you might not survive. All right, so it's not food, it's an herb. Okay, so PPAR extracts are actually made from microalgae, so those are foods, which is why it's so no contraindications with your medicine. Your body can easily, if you eat too much of it, more than what your body needs, the body can naturally dispel it without any toxicity effect. All right, so that's what our PPARs is. It's really, really a wonderful, wonderful product of nature, actually. And yes, and what made it possible for us to extraction it is our unique process of extracting the important parts from the microalgae. But we don't add anything to it, right? Oh yeah, for the tablets PPAR Plus, we do add something. We add the extracts from red grape skin. So that's really good because that has all your polyphenols, and one of the more famous ones that many people recognize is resveratrol. All right, so that's actually added to your PPAR tablets.
Thank you, sir. To your question a while ago, what will I choose to give? Yeah. To your question a while ago, what will I choose between ginseng and potato? I'll choose the ginseng, and then I'll sell those and then buy PPARs.
Okay. Very practical, yeah.
Next question coming from Ms. Lainita Sanchez. Sambong is herbal plant. I have read that it can treat cancer. May I know if this can really treat cancer?
No, it cannot. It cannot. Whatever you just read, the evidence behind that is very poor. Okay? Sambong is mainly used as a diuretic. So it can help you pee. So more, in what conditions can sambong be used? Kidney stones. Another one would be your urinary tract infection. However, for that matter, again, do not use sambong as a treatment for those two conditions, because the treatment for those two conditions is still multifactorial, especially kidney stones. So the approach is you'll have to take multiple medications, you'll have to have the proper lifestyle, the diet has to be in line. For UTI, it is much more straightforward. You just have to drink plenty of water. If you need sambong, then you can take sambong, but the treatment for UTI, especially if you have symptoms, is antibiotics. Okay, no amount of sambong. If you have UTI, no amount of sambong will help you get well, okay, or eradicate the bacteria. You'll need antibiotics for that. Okay, sambong will only help you pee more, okay, to eliminate the bacteria. Okay, so that's for sambong. Okay, it's not a treatment for cancer. Okay.
Yes, I think I want to emphasize this also, but it's not that it's not good for you. If you have a proper protocol for cancer, for example, Simply Nature PPAR protocols and some lifestyle changes, and chemotherapy, for example, or immunotherapy or hormone therapy, then sambong is a good choice drink, right? It's a drink, right? Did I get it correct, Sheila and Dr. Jansen? It is your ginger drink, right? Sambong. Am I correct?
No, no, no.
I
Sambong
think
is
we're
another
wrong.
one. But sambong
Oh,
is
another
like
one.
a tea. It's like a tea. Sambong is
I
a
like
leaf.
to see it.
Yeah, it's a
Okay,
leaf that you
okay.
boil.
Okay, oh, then that's different. I thought it was ginger and turmeric. Even turmeric, doc, many people ask if turmeric can be used to treat cancer. So I think that everybody, we've got to understand, right? You can't cure your cancer by drinking a ginger tea. Okay? But drinking things like turmeric drinks and all that is a good support, right? It's a good support. If you're doing all the other things, drinking a hot turmeric is definitely better than Coca-Cola or or 7-Up, right? Or Gatorade, right? So this is why those approaches are something that you want to have. So if you eat the right foods, you drink a hot turmeric drink, and so on and so forth, that's just going to make you strong and your fight against cancer better. But to just take turmeric, for example, and say only that alone to cure your cancer, that's just dangerous and maybe irresponsible. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. It's only here in the Philippines that Gatorade and RTO are used as medicines. Okay. Okay. All right. Another question. I think this will be our last question just before we say goodbye. All right. Quickly, coming from Ms. Nelia Tapia, what are the premenopausal signs that we should watch out for?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Premenopausal signs. So when you're about to undergo menopause, right? Number one, the most detrimental one would be hot flashes. That's, I think, the more significant, or the most noticeable experience that you will have, and the most uncomfortable one. Okay. Sometimes you can, even if the aircon is in full blast already, you still feel hot. So, hot flashes. How can you mitigate hot flashes? Eat soy food, soy-based foods, tofu, soya milk. So, the phytoestrogen can help mitigate the hot flashes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc. All right. Sir Sean, would you like to add on that before we say a parting word?
I think we're good tonight.
Okay. All right. Well, as you know, our viewers for tonight are combinations of patients and caregivers. Okay. Those patients are just diagnosed on chemo or on treatment, and of course, those who are already on remission and survivorship. So I'd like to ask for your quick parting words to our viewers for tonight. So who would like to start off?
I'll go first.
All right. Okay. Go ahead,
Right.
sir.
I think tonight, thank you very much. I think the questions were great. We got an opportunity to explore new ideas tonight and share new ideas with you. So just want to encourage everybody. Thank you for joining us. Do join us again next Thursday. It's going to be September, and I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible in person, especially for those of you who have been watching us for a long time. It'll be so nice to say thank you and shake your hands in person. So please join us on October 14th at SMX Aura. So to you, Doc.
Yeah, and we will see you in October 14, okay? However, for that matter, no, for all cancer patients that have been watching us until now, and especially to those cancer patients wherein it seems that you are in a dilemma, you've underwent a lot, you've underwent chemo, radiation therapy, all these treatments, and the cancer is still there. Okay, and or you're in a situation wherein you're in the therapeutic dilemma. If you undergo this treatment, something bad can happen. If you don't, then you can die. So it's a very difficult situation to be put in. However, for that matter, always remember that we can always do something for you. Okay? Um, if you are someone, if you're a cancer patient, and your onco told you that, hey, we cannot give you chemotherapy already, we cannot give you radiation therapy or whatever treatment because your body is just too weak to undergo, then yeah, we can do something for you. Okay, so just message us, go for a consult, and we can discuss your case, and let's explore on some on some treatment modalities that can help you. Okay, so that's it for me. Back to Sheila.
Thank you, Doc Jansen. Thank you, Sir Sean. Those were very encouraging parting words for our viewers. And of course, thank you for answering all our questions for tonight. See you again on Thursday. Okay, thank you so much. All right, of course, just before we say goodbye, I'd like to invite everybody for our next or upcoming event webinar this next Thursday. That's September 7. Wow, we are already on September, guys. So on September 7 at 7:30 as well, then the title of our event is Hypertension, Gout, Uric Acid, Liver Disease, and CKD as in-depth look at metabolic syndrome. So this is very interesting. If you know anybody who was diagnosed with all these things that you have heard that I've mentioned, hypertension, gout, uric acid, liver disease, and CKD, please invite them and share our events to them, okay? Which makes me want to say, please follow and like us in our Facebook pages here in Simply Nature International and, of course, Simply Healed Medical Group. Also, we have a very special upcoming 2 events. All right, this coming September 27. First, this is an online exciting event for our dear VIPs. This is called the VIP event. So this is really exciting. This is the only venue or the only place that we actually give out we do raffle prizes towards our dear patients who are very loyal and for a long time they've been using PPARs for themselves and of course their families. Okay, another special event which we've been mentioning over and over a while ago is about the October 14 event happening at SMX SM Aura. Okay, so that's a Saturday. I hope that everybody is very available to attend this because I've mentioned a while ago, you're actually getting more than 2,000 worth of freebies when you attend this webinar. So please, if you can see the QR code, all right, QR code on your screens, please scan them, or you can just simply visit our news feed to know more about it. We have a video invitation coming from Mr. Shyan Lim himself, all right, for this said event. So we hope to see you, of course, on the next Thursday, September 27 for our dear VIPs, VIP meetup, and of course, October 14th, face-to-face, all right? We hope to see you all in this event, okay? All right, well, our PPARs is not only for cancer, all right? I myself, as a mother, is taking PPARs. My whole family is taking PPARs, all right? In fact, okay, if you don't have any illness and you are taking PPARs, the effect for you is actually anti-aging. I think Sir Sean has mentioned that many times already, all right? And this September, I'm sure that you're hearing the Christmas bells already and you're thinking about the best gift of health that you can give to your parents who are diagnosed with diabetes or hypertension. Please, this is the best gift for them. So check out our products in Shopee, Lazada, using our legit links, okay? Legit shop links on Shopee and Lazada. And you can also order via our office, okay? Directly here in the BGC office. Now, once again, we hope to see you once again in our next webinars to come and our next event, most especially in this upcoming October 14th, because here in Simply Nature, we are always with you from start to healing. Thank you, everybody. Good night, and God bless you all.